What kit is that?
That's just like they do like a fry kit for the Novas.
Oh. Is it made for a rear engine Nova or something?
No, so he's put that on because he hasn't the radiator at the front, it's at the back.
Oh, what's that? Intercooler.
Intercooler.
Oh. Where did your passion come for building cars instead of just buying them?
I'm about 12 when I started messing with cars with my old man. Like, I've always liked the idea of making my own car, and this is probably the closest I'd ever get. I've had my Focus RSs, I've had my RS4s, I've had my RS Turbos, I've had all them. Yeah, them a lot of money, but I don't get the use and I don't get the buzz off it. Something that nobody else has got, if you like. It's all the age on the new cars. You're not actually driving them, driving themselves. These used today, they rely on that lot, and that's where things go wrong. I remember the first car I think I ever drove with ABS was the Series 2 RS Turbo, and it was horrendous. It scared me. I took the belts off and clamped the sensors up. You know what I mean? So,
and here it is. Outside is all in primer. As we do in this channel, we go and look at obviously progress builds and how they're coming on, because I enjoy seeing them in this state. I love seeing them being built, and this is why we've come. The rear bumper's off, but that also gives you that amazing view of the rear differential. And Nissan Pulsar was a 2-litre 16-valve turbocharged, and it was 4-wheel drive. And this is obviously why this was the converted to, because John, the owner, wanted to convert it to 4-wheel drive. Was this the original Nova you had from back in the day?
early part of 2007, I bought it as a GTI rep. It was a nice looking car, but it was only the 1 litre or the 1.1. You drive it about, looks good and all this, but it wasn't making the right sounds basically. And there was nothing there in power wise. Doing more for my friends, and I thought, hold up, what about myself?
Do yourself on, yeah.
Yeah, so my friend was selling, the same chap I bought this car off originally, actually. I'd got a Cavalier SRI, but with a turbo engine in. I get him 1,400 quid for it back in the day. Straight down to me work where I worked, stripped the guts out of it, stripped the guts out of that, rebuilt the engine, got it all in, about 280, 300, yeah. And it was just ludicrous, honest to God. Very frustrating. You put your foot down, just spinning everywhere, no matter what gear you was in.
Yeah.
It was just old school boost, loved it. And I was racing an Audi S3 Quattro, and I was spinning up. Quattro, bang, dropped, and just left me. I thought, that's what I've got to do for this. You know what I mean?
Drive.
Just trying to find out what I wanted to use.
Yep.
As a similar wheelbase, basically.
You can see it's the SR20 depth. Very, very successful engine, but very underrated from what people know nowadays. Don't know how much power you can make out of these. This was a very common plenum back in the day. So what happened was, early days where you couldn't just go out and buy universal plenum, everyone would buy one of these to make it fit. They also came with individual throttle bodies. Rather than have one single large one, this came factory with 4 individual throttle bodies. Obviously, as I say, I think it's a 2-litre, well, there came as a 2-litre, but obviously he's overboard it, so probably a 2.1 now. All this is Nissan Pulsar. The engine sits that far forward, there was no way to get the radiator in, hence it having to go in the back, and hence it having them side ducts for cooling. The gearbox, which obviously the 4-wheel drive system, and you can just see where it's all been nicely joined and stitch welded in and reinforced and plated, all to make it, you know, fit the Nova engine bay. That there looks so impressive in there. It fits pretty damn well in the Nova.
What modifications have you done in here to make it like fit and everything to work?
The inside of these flitches here, these are the actual Nova flitches.
Oh. Okay.
And basically I've brought it down and just trimmed it down, measured it and stuff like that, just to bring it in. And this bit here obviously is still part of the Pulsar, and just knitted it onto there. It's all been like double skinned and whatever inside, all the way around basically. The rear arches are actually the Pulsar.
Oh, okay.
Inside, and the turrets, them all the Pulsar. And
Yeah.
I just integrated them basically into the side parts of the Nova. You know what I mean?
That's
Behind
what you mean,
these
yeah.
panels.
Yeah.
And again, same as inside the engine bay. The main chassis rails are the Pulsar. Slid the body down onto the rolling chassis basically of the Pulsar, and just kept trimming and trimming until I got it somewhere near.
Okay.
Shrink it down to about inside there, about 3 inches either side, just to trim it down to literally fit it inside.
So these turrets are all, this is all Pulsar in here?
Yeah,
so you've not done
all
any
turrets.
modifications in here to make it all fit?
Apart from knitting it in, you know what I mean? This is the Nova bit.
Oh, that
I
bit's
just
Nova.
cut all the turrets out from the Nova.
Yeah.
The firewall there is the Pulsar one.
Okay.
The original Nova one comes to just about there. Say it comes from there, normally it goes all the way across to that side there.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I've just trimmed it off and then knitted it all in, basically. Yeah, the chassis rails there, and the Pulsar, and I've just basically strengthened it all with thick plates. I think it's like 4mm plate there, just to knit it in.
What was the hardest part of it?
Probably the filling in, basically inside the rear arches, putting the filling the inside of the arches, if you like.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad because it was like a bare shell, and it was just I just
Which is
spent
plonk
time.
on top and done.
Literally, yeah.
Was it, yeah.
Well, this is the good thing sometimes is when you come to these places, they're on a ramp, you can get underneath and you can see the workings. So first thing to pick up on is obviously this front cross member section that's all been made. So that is to support obviously the oil cooler, to tie both arms in. They're custom subframe. Mount a few bits and pieces on, like if you look there, that's to mount the intercooler on, and then obviously, as I say, the oil cooler. Moving back, as you can see, it is all a Nissan Pulsar under here. All Nissan Pulsar. Arms, brakes, bottom arms, CV joint, shaft, you name it, it's all Nissan Pulsar. Working our way back, the anti-roll bar. Now, if you look, the prop shaft is off. The reason for that, no other reason than it is going to be mapped on a two-wheel drive dyno. And he tells me that you can literally just he's made this kind of like adapter plate, a bit, you know, just to get it to go. So he can drive it, run it around without having it to be in four-wheel drive as it starts. Moving to the rear, as you can see, the full subframe. It makes it easier because you've got all your mounting points for your subframes. You've not got to adapt them, you've not got to fabricate stuff. It's already done for you. Along this edge, this is where it's been stitched in, where the shell has been shortened by, I don't know, let's say 3 inches. It's been shortened, brought in and then tied into this here. What can I say? This, it is a really, really tidy job. So even to the point of here, it's all tidied up. See, it all ties in to the rear. But I think you'll agree, this under a Nova is absolutely insane.
And I bought a couple of Nissan Pulsars, one with a good engine in but a rotten body, and the other one was a good body with just a gearbox in and no engine. Okay. I was going to make a good one out of the two. Got it something like running and driving, trying to take it sideways, it gripped and launched me into some steps.
Right.
So that was the end of that, body. I thought, you know what, the engine was fine, just kick the exhaust up, just a bit of a thought, and I started measuring up the wheelbase and stuff. It was close to it, but I thought I wanted wide arches anyway, how wide it was, so I wanted to make it look aggressive. And I just did some measurements and thought, blimey, that's not far off. And we went from there, and I started cutting the Pulsar up, strengthened all this out top end, and I knew the front end was going to be a bit of a challenge because on the gearbox alone they got like 4 mounts on the gearbox, and there's no way I could do it in the standard Nova thing. And I was just like I say, I was sitting there one night and just measuring up, looking at it. I thought, it's going to go in there, I just know it is, and I could make it fit, and I did.
So what year was this?
This was probably the later part of 2012.
Let's scare people. What was the price of the Pulsars?
Back then, I'll be honest, I geared £400
Oh God!
for the two, and I thought, that's all right, but I'll be honest, I didn't like the look of them.
Yeah. So let's get in. Obviously, all perspex windows. This is all floor pan. Is Nissan Pulsar, because obviously you've got the full tunnel there for the prop shaft. That's where the radiator is, because obviously he's had to run the cooling pipes through the car, up the back and to the radiator. He's got his main fuel tank here, which is fed through the window over there, feeds the fuel tank, which then feeds into this very tiny swirl pot, which then feeds the engine. The ducting, which obviously I said in previously, he's put these knacker ducts on the side. That then goes through the knacker duct into the side and then up and cools into the radiator. If you look down in this direction, there is no real major signs of where it's been joined. It fits very, very well, and I think if I get under there, you can just see where it joins around this area where they've kind of spliced it in. Wonderful, wonderful build. Nova dash, nothing fancy, just what it is, and it's got the full Haltech screen setup. This runs a full Haltech Elite 1000 ECU. So what's the spec of the car? What's the engine spec? Where we're going with it? What's the goals type of thing?
The engine itself is it's been bored out to 86.5 with Wozner pistons, pec rods, all forged. Crank's been light and balanced and knife edged. Light and flywheel. I've had to have it machined out to using Skyline bolts because something to do with the size of them. Them 12mm, I think the 12mm bolts. So I had to have them drilled out and retapped in the crank to make that fit. So that flywheel must have been off either a Skyline or something. It's got 280 Tommy race cams in it. Super Tech inlet valves, but oversized, 1mm oversized.
Turbo?
The turbo is basically the standard casing, but it's been Turbo Technics has
Hybridized it. Whatever you do
basically
with it.
done that to it, and that I bought that with the engine.
Okay.
What I had with the engine anyway, and that was fine. The gearbox, that's all standard, but it's been all the bearings and seals have been done on it. The head is polished and bolted as well, so it is. And it's got ARP studs.
And what power are we thinking? Final goal? Because also with the standard size turbo, you're not going stupid.
No.
You're going for more for reliability.
Well, I've been told that one, my mate did a bit of Googling and said that one's good for 350,
Okay.
which is about where I want to be fair, because in all fairness, this being as light as it's going to be, I think it's about a ton, around about a ton.
Yeah.
I reckon it's going to be mental at that, to be fair.
Yeah.
So
350 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Should be good fun.
it's not too mental, and it seems to handle it okay. I might push it a little bit more.
So as you can see, giant aluminium radiator, and as we've shown, the water pipes come along and down the side to cool the engine and then feed back. 2 giant fans, and as I say, this has not had no issues in cooling this engine. It's been perfect. Rear rad fill, I can imagine it being a bit of a nightmare to bleed, but again, for me, even the twin engine is. But even looking back here, you can see the join line where they've shortened it for the Nova shell along there, and then you look at the turrets, which are all in this area, which obviously, if you look at a standard Nova, they are very far back, but that is all the Nissan Pulsar setup, which has been lifted and then boxed into the car in this area, and then basically just pieced in to make it all suit, because you can actually see probably, I would guess, around this line is where it's been pieced in from the Pulsar to the Nova, just to make that area full roll cage, because again, why not? You're doing this far and you're going to enjoy it, you might as well do it. He's had to extend a few bits because of the body style, and he's had to sort out this area, hence there being a vent. If you don't appreciate this build, I don't know, this is fantastic to take such an insanely small car and make it as good as it is. So I think you'll agree, this is a fantastic build to go from a Pulsar, which is a kind of rare collector's item, and a Nova, which is a rare collector's item. Chop them both together, put them together, and make this creation. What's insane is, thinking about doing that today, it would cost you thousands, because just to buy the 2 base models. These types of builds will never happen again due to the increased price of the classic cars. I think we're all going to look forward to seeing the future progression with this car, because I will be back to do a full feature again when it's running and driving, just to see what it's like, because I do have a serious soft spot for this. So I'll sign this one out. I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and I'll see everyone on the next video.